maybe they're going to do something with me. And I believe there were already rumblings of maybe them doing a light heavyweight division at the time. So I kind of had a pretty good idea that that's what it was. So I said, can I give you guys an answer next week after I talk to Bruce? They said, yeah. Talked to Bruce on Wednesday. And, he said, we want to offer your contract and bring you in for this light heavyweight division. So I signed. And then I think I started in May of 97 was my first, match under contract on Raw with Al Snow.
Yeah. And so I know you had a good series of matches with Taka Michinoku, and then, of course, you formed the tag team. But I know in 2000, that's when you won the light heavyweight championship. You had a series of matches against Dean Malenko. But that brings us to another fan question, and from Ashley Clements. Who's a fan of the podcast. He says, "Hi, Scotty. Hope you're doing well. In your match with Dean Malenko at Backlash 2000, which is a bit of a hidden gem in his opinion, who came up with the finish of the top rope DDT, as that was a very good finish to the match." So I don't know if you recall Backlash 2000, your match with Dean Malenko, and I think the title would have been involved, but that finish, the top rope DDT, certainly stands out in Ashley's mind.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky to remember
it. Yeah, I'm sure.
It was pretty. I was actually, I literally dodged a bullet on that because it was very dangerous, and I could have easily broken my neck. It looks like I broke my neck on it. I don't think it was Dean's idea, and he told me he had done it with Jericho, and I recently just saw it with Jericho taking it. Just like maybe a month ago, I saw it for the first time, and I was like, "Oh, that's what I was supposed to do." But I didn't. I was supposed to jump out further, and so I landed more on my stomach, and I didn't jump out, and I just kind of spiked myself like right into the mat from the top rope. And I remember I walked back through the curtain. That Backlash was in Washington D.C., and I walked back through it, and Linda McMahon pulled me aside. She said, "Don't ever do that again." I was like, "Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about that." It was dangerous, but that's a match that people bring up all the time. And Dean and I had, like you said, we had a million matches back, and not only on television, but we were working live events every night. And I think the reason that we worked so well were we were so different. Here's Dean, who's very serious and a very good technical wrestler and the man of 1,000 holds. And that was his whole character, right? He was very serious and took what he did in the ring serious. And where on the other hand, here you have this goofball who's just there to have fun and kind of make fun of Dean. And, his finishing moves, the worm, and, he does the moonwalk and break dances. And like, that's what makes wrestling to me so cool, is when you have all of these different characters and then they together and you see, okay, this is what happens. Whereas right now, it feels like we're going through this period where everybody kind of wrestles the same way and does the same stuff, and they go the same speed, and they're all very athletic. And like, I want to see the fat guy versus the super athletic guy. Like, what happens then? You know what I mean? Like, it's or the clown versus the serious guy. Like, that's what makes us so good, and
Absolutely.
And that's why I think Dean and I work so well together, just because but the funny thing is Dean was a clown. He's very funny and dry. And I can remember on live events, and I've told this story, so I apologize to your listeners who have heard it, but I can remember being on live events and hitting Dean with the bulldog, and going to do the worm. And as I'm running in place, I'd look down, and of course everybody's looking at me at this point because Dean's just laying there, but I would look down and Dean would be pretending to be smoking a cigarette as he's laying there, because he knows nobody's watching him, but he's just trying to make me laugh, but he was good for me to work with. He was really good. And all those guys, dude, I look back and I go, man, like, Eddie and Dean and Perry, and Benoit. Those guys were some of the best in the world at the time when they came in, and especially like an Eddie Guerrero. Like, to be, I wrestled Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania. Like, how many people can say that? Like, how cool is that? At the height of the Attitude Era, I wrestled Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania. It doesn't get much better than that.